Felicity says, Kim, thank you so much for your courage in sharing your story and all your videos on YouTube. I have two questions. The first is more simple than the second. First, what are your thoughts on Matt's new shirt for the month of the Sacred Heart? Did you see that?
Oh, I was like, it's blue. No. It's nice. I'd probably button it one more button, but
you do you, you know.
You do you.
Immodesty.
Oh, the Reclaim the Rainbow?
No, it said Reclaim the Month with the Sacred Heart. What did you think about that shirt?
Well, I think it's great. I mean, it's great for me because I didn't know the month of June was Sacred Heart Month. So that really helped me. I'm really big. Okay. So she asked it simply. I think it's great because I, as a Catholic, needed to be reminded. I was on Lila Rose's show and it just so happened
Love that girl. She's
amazing. And so we were talking about that June month and so it came up about that. And so I think it's not a coincidence. And so I think we need to be reminded what this month is within the church, right? Just like when all this other junk comes up, and I don't mean that rude, but like so many things are thrown of what the world says the month is for. That doesn't mean that all of it is bad and we need to reject it, but we need to remind what Christ's heart is in every day of our life. And so I love that. I think one thing is where I see people say we need to reclaim the rainbow. I have a little bit of a hard time with that because I'm like, actually, we don't need to reclaim what is God's. We might need to be reminded.
See, I hear that criticism because I received a lot of it, including a lot of offended Catholics, even just at the T-shirt. But I guess by reclaim, I mean, it's not that Christ ever lost it or that God ever lost it. It's just that we lost it. We chose to forget it. That's what I think is meant by it.
I guess, so, and everybody has different approaches. And I'm not saying one is better or one is worse. But for me, I think with the call possibly on my life, at least in this season, is to connect with people that do not agree with me by not minimizing truth, because that's not going to be a great connection. We connect, but wow, you didn't stand in truth. So what'd you really gain here, right? And so I'm not saying minimizing truth, but for me, like when I say remember the rainbow, right?
Yeah.
To me, they're like, what does that mean? And now I have time for conversation because already the LGBT community, majority speaking, now I want to be careful to not clump everybody in, have their fists up. They're on defense. They're so used to have to fight. Do you know what I mean? And defend that I want to come in and be like, hey, actually, we don't need to fight, but can you put your arms down? My arms aren't up. I'm not coming with a fist. I'm not going to try to reclaim or steal back or take back. Can we talk? Can we remember the rainbow? And they're like, what does that mean? Right? And then now it's conversational.
See, what's beautiful about what you do is you get to do that to both sides.
Yeah.
Both of us have our fists up. It's not just the LD, whatever
and
community.
And sometimes I have mine up too, so I want to disclaim that. But I could see a big war, and I feel like the Lord's like, hey, can we come in? And again, I think we can have a false sense of unity where we're just not talking about Jesus. We're not talking about truth, 100%. So we can all just get along, but then we're not really getting along.
No, that's
right. We're really not. It's false. But I think we can. I was at the University of Madison, Wisconsin. It's known as like the most liberal, they call it the Berkeley of the Midwest. I had no clue. No clue it was that. I was just saying yes to something I felt the Lord called me to. And so there was the group, Sex Out Loud. There was the group, the LGBT group. There were these groups absolutely opposing, zero question about that. This was the most incredible encounter I have probably had in a public setting like that, where they could have come in, they could have vandalized the school like they did when, what's his name? Our I Am Girl, came in, but they didn't. And you know what it was? They were super confused. They were like, we don't know. There was a news article or like on the actual news for the local station that came out. I had no clue, by the way. I go in, I'm like, you know, and I was just praying my way in. But there was this news thing that came out and they said, we don't know if this chick is for us or against us because she's using the rainbow. There's 7 colors, by the way, but they didn't catch on to that 7 colors, the fullness of the rainbow. Well, we won't unpack that all, but I don't ever use a 6-colored rainbow, the fall of man, the number 6, that the LGBT community use. But they're like, there's a rainbow. She said, love wins. She's using our terms. So we don't know whether we hate her or we love her. And I'm like, my goodness, the fact that they would admit that. See,
that's beautiful.
Do we love her or we hate her? See, they don't know me, but they're going to predetermine whether they love me or hate me, whether I'm with them or against them. And so there was this kind of ambiguous advertisement that I do unashamed. I'm not ashamed to have the rainbow. It's God's promise that he will not abandon us. He will not flood the earth again. So in that, and then my thing said Q&A, all backgrounds, all different things. Welcome and come, let's talk. So this whole thing, so they're like, we don't know what the hell to think of this, right? So they show up, right? Not one sign, not one protest, because they don't know if they need to protest. They would have had to have two signs. That one says, we hate you, and one says, yay, we love you, you know?
Yeah.
And they'd have to flip it in between because they didn't know. But man, when I showed up, and they were a little concerned because they said, it says Jesus. So we're pretty much thinking she's against us. And she wrote a book, and we don't know what that book is, and we don't have time to read it, but it says Restless Heart, My Struggle with Life and Sexuality. So it seems like she's against us, but we still don't really know, so we're going to go. So they go, all these talks of protests and this and that. Now, again, I had no grid for this. I'm just literally driving in. And I show up, and I'm looking for the protest because I was told when I got to campus, oh, we're going to bring you in through the back door, blah, blah, blah. No protests. I'm like, am I at the wrong building? Like, security, are you bringing me to the wrong place? They're like, no. I was like, huh, okay. So I go in, I'm sitting in the back of the auditorium. I'm putting my shoes on. I was barefoot. So I'm putting my shoes on. I didn't know that the girl I sat next to was from the LGBT club. And I'm just tying up my shoes. I was like, hey, you excited? She's like, I don't know. And I was like, me either. And so she doesn't even know it's me, right? And my face is all over their campus, everything. And so we're just having this fun little banter back and forth, you know? And I was like, well, I better get going. I got to get mic'd up. And she just like looked at me.
Wow.
And I jumped onto the stage, and then she goes and sits in the front row. They sat there so respectful. They didn't yell anything. They didn't disturb my talk. And all I did was say, hey, listen, before I get started, remember, none of you have to be here. You chose to be here, and so did I. We came with free will to be here. And I just ask that you would honor that this is my life that I'm sharing. You may not agree with it. You may not like it, but it's my life. Realize that I'm a human being in front of you. And if you can do that, I want to do the same thing. That's why I'm opening up. Half the time is me sharing. The other half is me listening and responding. So I want to give you that same honor of respecting you as a human being, even if I don't believe or agree with what you stand on. And I know it goes both ways. I'm telling you, you could have heard a pin drop in that room. And then I said, and I know some of you may not believe in God, or you may not believe in the God that I am preaching and sharing about, that I have had a real encounter with, but I ask that as I want to open in prayer, and I just ask that you would honor that it is something I desire. They were silent. These are college students opposing what I stand for and what I build my life upon. And they were so honoring. Many of us were crying as I shared my story, as I did opened up for Q&A. It was the most respectful disagreements. And I stopped when the girl from the Sex Out Loud group stood up, and I said, I just want to say, I'm floored that you sat through 45 minutes of me sharing my heart and my experiences, knowing that you do not agree, and you didn't say a darn word, and you stayed. I said, I really respect that, and I thank you for that, and I could learn from you because I don't know if I could have done the same thing. And I said, so what's your question? And she has like tears in her eyes, and she's like, well, and then she did, and it was, and so I don't share this as the only way. Yeah. But see, we want to be seen. And all I asked was that I see you. Can you see me? Can we set our guns down? Can we put our arms down? You don't have to be defensive right now, and I don't have to be either. We can agree to disagree, and that be okay. And we can actually even like each other, even though we disagree. But I'm not going to minimize truth. And you don't have to either. And we can disagree. And I'm like, okay, God, I learned so much from that. So much from that. I'm not saying it was perfect. I'm not saying I did perfect and da-da-da-da. All I'm saying is we don't see a lot of that right now. We don't see a lot. And that school is known for protest. It's known for vandalism when they don't agree with something. And so the fact that I could go, and they, even after I said, if you want to stay and talk after, I'm going to hang out here. I said, we can grab pizza. I'm hungry.
I feel like if we put you and Jason Everett together, we could change the world, right? Don't you think what she's saying? Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.